All right, Georgia Southern beats Georgia State 38-21, gets a 17-point win, goes into Turner Field and beats the Georgia State Panthers. I like the way this game played out completely. This was probably the most complete game of the season for Georgia Southern. Everything was rocking and rolling the way we want to. Had a couple of mishaps. Some things absolutely need to be cleaned up. But overall, this turned out to be a phenomenal game. We're going to talk about this. Let me fix this. I'm sorry. There we go, because I got the screen jacked up. Okay. We're going to talk about this game, give my thoughts and opinions from both sides. Not just the Georgia Southern Eagles, but the Georgia State Panthers. I want to talk about them as well because I got something to say about them. But nevertheless, 38-21, Georgia Southern came into this game swinging. I mean, there was up 24-7 at the half. The first half was absolutely phenomenal. They came in and was basically knocking the socks off the Georgia State Panthers. Now, the second half, what happened then? Basically, J.C. French gets a fumble. He fumbles the ball at the Georgia State 5-yard line. They go in and score. They turn right back around, and Georgia State got a little bit of momentum, and they were able to score again. So it was a close game. They got 14 points in the third quarter, and you was thinking, all right, at this point, it is like 24, 21. What's going to happen? It could be anybody's game. But what happened, Georgia Southern started running the ball. Jalen White, what can you say about him? Let's go look at his stats. Jalen White, good 22 carries for 114, 2 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns came in at a pivotal moment where we were trying to figure out, can we break away from this team being up by only 3? 24-21, we drive right down the field and score. Not to mention that J.C. French took a hellacious shot by one of the defensive linemen or the linebackers for Georgia State and connected with Jet Thompson. Beautiful play, but I was worried about J.C. French at the time, and he ended up completing the pass either way, and that set up that run by Jalen White. What can you say about J.C. French? 24-39, 237, no interceptions, 1 touchdown. Look, J.C. French is everything and then some that we've asked for in a quarterback. I mean, this kid has been doing everything. He hasn't turned the ball over like we thought it was going to be, because last year, I mean, we led the nation in turnovers. We had like 30-something turnovers. And I will give, the fumble, I won't necessarily blame that on him. He do need to hold the ball a little bit better. But at some point, when you're playing quarterback, the ball's going to slip out your hand. I mean, it is what it is. But overall, he played a very clean game. O.J. Arnold had 11 carries for 110, 2 touchdowns as well. I mean, we all talked about this running game because the running game was a problem. We were worried about, can this offensive line be a run blocking offensive line? Well, when you get 200 yards rushing out of your running backs, and then you get another 30 yards out of your quarterback, I mean, what can you say? I mean, we did what we were supposed to do. The passing game was pretty, solid as well. Josh Dallas, what can you say about Josh Dallas? Josh Dallas was basically called out by Ben Moore. What's up, Ben? Shout out to Ben Moore. Called out by Josh Dallas saying that he was not a good receiver, not elite, but he put up elite numbers a day. 9 catches for 89 yards, 9.9 average, 1 touchdown, and 1 play. That the last 9 yards that he got this game were tough yards. I mean, he was dragging like 3 or 4 Georgia State Panthers. And at that point, when that happened, that's when I knew at this point we were going to win the game. There are just some parts of the game where things are just going to go your way. When Josh Dallas dragged those players for those 9 yards and made sure that he got plus yards out of that play, that's when I knew, okay, that's a wrap. We're going to win this game. Did not have a big game from Durham Burgess, Dalen Cobb, or VLV, but nevertheless, we found a way to get the game won we did distribute the ball to 8 different receivers. And then on top of that, we ran the ball for over 240 yards. You cannot ask for a better game than this. Defensively, not much happened defensively outside of the interceptions. You had Stampley had an interception, TJ Smith had an interception, and Chance Gamble, what can you say about him? He got the interception at the right time. I know that Stampley had one right before the half. TJ Smith, killed any momentum that Georgia State could have had at the end of their game or at the end of the game. But that one by Chance Gamble, that was the one. Once he intercepted that ball, that was another inkling to say that, you know what, we're going to win this game. But like I said, for me, it was the Josh Dallas catch and run when he dragged those players for 9 yards. That's when I knew. Now let's talk about Georgia State, because I want to talk a lot about this team, and I'm going to give you guys some insight. Well, I can give you some insight. I'm just giving you my thoughts about Georgia State. Christian, they say his name is, I cannot pronounce his last name, but a lot of people said it was Vlo or Veal. I don't know. But nevertheless, I'm not good with names. 23 of 45, 356, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The running game was just not there. You look at the running game, Freddie Brock, which I thought he was going to be a little bit more productive, 10 carries for 36 yards. And that just goes to show you that defensive line did everything they could to stop the run. And they did a pretty good job. Now, 1 touchdown was inside the 5, like I said, after the J.C. French fumble. The receiving yards, Ted Hurst, what about this guy? That 76-yard catch for a touchdown pretty much was like a killer for our defense. We didn't give up too much after that. A lot of other stuff was kind of like garbage time. But shout out to him. He played pretty well. You know, Dorian Fleming also had the touchdown. The absolutely best play, in my opinion, even better than the 76-yard touchdown play. The best play that Georgia State had was that RPO over the top to Dorian Fleming. I mean, that ball was thrown very well. It was right out of the reach of our secondary, and he just went over the top and caught that ball. And that was a beautiful play. I cannot lie. All the other guys was kind of like in garbage time. There wasn't necessarily anything productive that helped move the game in the way it should. But shout out to these 2 guys. And defensively, once again, they recovered a fumble earlier. The special teams, which I'm going to talk about in a second when I finish this video out, they did recover one from LV. Let me tell you about Georgia State. I'm going to tell you about this team right here. All seriousness, I know this is a rivalry. I know I don't care for the team. You know, it's Southern, not State. But I will give this team credit. They put together a very solid football team this year. All the other years, I still felt that they were inferior to our team, even in times when they beat us. I always felt that Georgia State just did not have the pedigree or the talent to be up to where we were. And we mostly gotten to like shot ourselves in the foot. But I will say this. About this team, like all seriousness. They put together a pretty good team, with this program this year. And I feel that they put out a pretty good product for people to come to their game. And there were a lot of people, even to their standards, there was a lot of people in the stadium this year. I commend them for actually trying to grow their program. This is what I want to see when we have a real rivalry. I know it was so bad at some point, people did not think that this was a rivalry because they were so, I ain't going to say beneath, but they just wasn't up to our standard because Georgia Southern has an illustrious history and Georgia State just started maybe 10, 15 years ago. But I will say this is the first time this year I felt that Georgia State actually put out a good product for their football program. And I commend them because with a trophy on the line now, even though I don't recognize this as Georgia grown, it's still modern day hate. I got to give it to Georgia State. These kids, this program, the coaching staff, the athletic director, I don't know what they're doing over there, but they putting together a pretty good program right now. Dale McGee, he was with Georgia Southern at one point, but he's doing a really good job. And you started to see it build a little bit, but this year is the first year I can honestly say that everybody is kind of like starting to be digging into what Georgia State is doing. And I think that only makes it for a healthy rivalry. Nevertheless, I still think Georgia Southern is the superior team, and we should still be able to, slap them around just like we did this game. They got a couple of breaks, the missed field goal, some stops here and there. Georgia Southern need to clean some things up. We fumbled the ball. We, especially on special teams, we need to fix that. I don't know if it's because of the weather, but they need to fix that as well. But all in all, I'm walking away with this very, very impressed. I love the way Georgia Southern played. This is a good time for Georgia Southern to be in the bye week so they can take time to correct a lot of things. Because we got to hit the ground running. We're going to be playing Marshall at home. That should be a W for us. But we got James Madison. And I'm going to talk about James Madison in the upcoming days and upcoming weeks because I did not see this team be that good coming in. They lost a lot of players. They lost their coach. But they just reloaded like nothing never happened. Kudos to them, but we'll talk about them later. Also, I give respect to Georgia State. They put out a pretty good product this year, especially with them being 2-2 early. They beat Vanderbilt. I have nothing but respect for them, but it's still Southern, not State. I'm sorry. Y'all come into Paulson next year. We plan to beat y'all again, and that's what it is. So let me know what y'all think. What y'all think about the game? Are you impressed? We walk away from this game with a victory. We're 3-2 on the year, and we're in a pretty good position right now for conference play. But we got a couple of teams down the road to look for. But we'll talk about them later. All right, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.